Imagine a planet so feared that its very mention sent shivers across the galaxy. Harith, once a fortress of war, holds secrets best left undisturbed. Yet here we are, on the edge of an awakening that could tip the balance of peace and war. The distant planet of Harith had always been shrouded in mystery and terror, marked by warnings and ghostly tales of the horrors that lurked in its forgotten past. Once the heart of a brutal war between the ruthless Gorthan Empire and a desperate coalition of alien allies, Harith bore scars of an age no one dared revisit. Among the weapons of the Gorthan war machine was a creature, neither weapon nor machine, but a terrifying bioengineered beast known as Volther. The Warg, as they called it, was massive and unwaveringly loyal, a brutal sentinel to the Gorthan cause, with intelligence as sharp as its claws. After centuries of abandonment, Harith lay dormant, and Volther was left in an eternal slumber, a relic of a war long forgotten, until now. A human exploration team, dispatched by the United Terran Federation, was tasked to survey Harith. Rumors of untapped resources and hidden technologies had reached Earth, and this mission was more than scientific curiosity, it was a claim of conquest. Armed with the latest tech, powerful drones, and nerves of steel, or so they thought, the team descended upon Harith. Yet there was one among them who stood out, unflinching, Liam Cade. A specialist in xenobehavioral science, Liam had made a name for himself facing creatures others fled from, driven more by fascination than fear. The initial days on Harith revealed little but barren landscapes and the skeletal remains of a lost civilization. But as the team ventured further, their instruments detected something, a cave, hidden deep within the mountain range, veiled by overgrown vines and weathered stone. The air chilled as they approached, and strange, ancient symbols adorned the entrance, symbols Liam recognized. Warnings, old Gorthan markings cautioning of a great beast, a final defender of their empire's legacy. The team's sensors began to pick up faint life signs from within the depths. This creature could still be alive, one of the engineers muttered, apprehension tightening his voice. We won't know until we see for ourselves, Liam replied with a fearless gleam in his eyes, urging the team forward. As they ventured deeper, the stone floor bore the imprints of massive clawed footprints. It became clear they weren't alone. The sensation of eyes watching them grew, thickening the air with a sense of looming threat. In the vast chamber of the cave, they finally saw it, the beast. Volther lay among the remnants of Gorthan weaponry, its massive, dark form lying still but breathing, a dormant relic of war and bloodshed. Volther, Liam whispered, awestruck. The warg was colossal, at least 4 meters tall on all fours, with dark, leathery skin and eyes that glowed faintly in the dim cave light. Though chained, its restraints had rusted with time. The creature breathed, slow and deliberate, like the ticking of a long-forgotten war clock. The team recoiled, gripped by instinctive fear. We should leave it alone, their commander insisted, weapon drawn. This thing is a killing machine. Liam, however, saw something more. It's not just a weapon, it's a creature, a soldier left behind. Despite his team's protests, he stepped forward, ignoring the alarms in his head. Then, the ground trembled. The warg stirred, its eyes snapping open, glowing brighter now as a low growl rumbled from its throat, shaking the cave walls. Weapons raised, the team readied themselves for battle, but Liam, defying every instinct, moved closer. I know you're afraid too, Liam murmured softly. You didn't choose this fate. He dropped to one knee, meeting the creature's gaze with unyielding calm. The warg studied him, its glowing eyes narrowing, its growl softening. Liam stayed still, heart pounding, as the warg's great head lowered and sniffed the air around him. After a tense pause, it let out a deep, resonant huff, closing its eyes once more, choosing to remain dormant. The team watched, dumbfounded. How did you do that?" the commander stammered. Liam exhaled, his own hands trembling. "It's a soldier, just like us. It's tired of war." But what Liam couldn't foresee was that this encounter was only the beginning. The warg had recognized something in him, a bond far deeper than anyone could understand. This moment was a catalyst, an awakening. In the silence that followed, one truth became clear. They had crossed a line, and Haritha's sleeping soldier was far from done. A legendary creature, a forbidden alliance, and an impending war. One man stands at the heart of it all, where loyalty and survival blur on the ancient planet of Harith. Weapons were lowered but still gripped tightly, eyes trained on the massive warg, Volther, who appeared to have drifted back into its slumber. But Liam knew better. This creature, though resting, was far from unaware. He could sense it, the creature's mind still observing him, sensing his every move. "We should head back," the commander insisted, voice shaky as he tried to regain authority. The shock of seeing Liam confront this ancient war beast had left him visibly unnerved. "We need to report this." But Liam stood his ground, his gaze locked on Volther. "No, not yet," he replied. "We've woken it, or at least disturbed its rest. If we leave now, we'll only make it more anxious. This creature wasn't just built for war, it was abandoned here, left without a purpose. It's not just going to let us walk away." The commander's frustration showed as he asked, "Then what do you suggest?" Liam circled around Volther cautiously, keeping a respectful distance while his mind raced with memories of his studies on Gorthan military biotechnology. Volther wasn't merely a beast, it was a bioengineered weapon, a creature trained not only to attack but to protect. And right now, it had no master. "We need to communicate with it," Liam said, his voice steady. "This creature is smarter than we give it credit for. It can understand us, at least on some level. If we treat it as nothing but a threat, it'll respond as one." Uneasy glances passed among the team members, each unsure if Liam's confidence was brilliant or reckless. But none dared to follow him. Undeterred, Liam knelt near the creature's head, careful to keep a few feet of distance, and began speaking softly. "I know what you are," he said, voice steady. "I know what they made you do. Built for war, trained to kill, but that's not all there is to you, is there? You've been abandoned, forgotten. But you don't have to be alone." Silence stretched. The team watched, eyes wide, fingers hovering over weapon triggers. Then, with a deep rumble, Volther stirred once more, its glowing eyes opening and locking onto Liam's. This time, its growl was softer, less hostile. Liam's heart raced, fully aware of the risk. But he needed to believe that Volther was more than a mindless weapon. "I'm not your enemy," Liam continued, his tone calm. "We're explorers, peaceful. We want to understand." The warg's massive head lifted slightly, eyes narrowing as it seemed to weigh Liam's words against its deeply ingrained instincts. Instead of attacking, it sniffed the air around him, then lowered its head once more, releasing some of the tension in its massive frame. The air in the cave softened, though caution remained thick. The commander, his voice now a whisper, broke the silence. "You've got its attention. Now what?" "I'm going to get closer," Liam replied, standing slowly, keeping his movements steady and unthreatening. The team protested in frantic whispers, but Liam's confidence held strong. "If we show it respect, it will respond with the same." Ignoring their objections, he took a step closer, noticing the chains binding the creature. They were ancient and rusted, yet somehow strong enough to keep Volther bound. It could have broken free if it wished, but it hadn't. "These chains," Liam murmured to himself, fingers lightly brushing the ancient metal. "You've been bound too long. You don't deserve this anymore." Without waiting for permission, he began working on the chains. Volther watched, alert but still calm. One wrong move and the creature could end his life in an instant, but Liam trusted his instinct. With a final clank, the chains fell to the ground. The warg stretched its massive limbs, muscles rippling as it rose to its full, towering height. Its glowing eyes locked onto Liam's, who took a step back to give it space. For a brief, heart-stopping moment, he feared he'd made a mistake. Then, the warg let out a deep, resonant rumble, not of aggression, but of acknowledgement. It lowered its massive head, meeting Liam's gaze with a powerful, unspoken bond. Liam felt an overwhelming sense of connection, one that reached beyond words or commands. "Welcome back," Liam whispered, his hand gently touching the warg's leathery skin, warm and pulsing with life. In that moment, Volther had found something it had lost long ago, a purpose beyond war. Chapter 3. The Storm Approaches. The days following Volther's release were a delicate balance of tension and hope. The team kept a wary distance, their initial fear gradually replaced by awe. Volther, now free, moved with a strange familiarity, as if he had never truly left this world. It stayed close to Liam, almost as if it recognized him not just as a master, but perhaps as a friend in an unfamiliar world. Liam spent hours observing Volther, noting the subtle signs of its intelligence and the way it responded to his silent cues. He had come to believe their bond was more than curiosity. It was as though Volther had waited for someone like him all these years. But their peace wouldn't last. Disturbing news arrived from the United Terran Federation's main base, a few star systems away. The reports were fragmented, but their message was unmistakable. A rival faction, the CRL, known for their brutal expansionist tactics, had discovered their mission on Harith. They knew about Volther. Commander Donovan called the team to an emergency meeting. His face was tense, his usual confidence fractured by the looming threat. "Scouts have confirmed a CRL war fleet is en route," he announced, pacing. "If they land here, they won't leave anything alive. We need to evacuate immediately." The team exchanged glances of dread. They were armed with basic survey equipment, hardly enough to fend off an invasion force. "We need to leave," one of the engineers insisted, panic evident in his voice. Liam, however, had a different idea. "What if we don't run?" he asked, his voice firm, cutting through the tension. The room fell silent. Commander Donovan looked at him, incredulous. "We can't fight them, Liam. We're outnumbered." Liam's gaze shifted to the cave entrance, where Volther rested. "What if we don't have to fight them alone?" His meaning was clear. "You're not suggesting—" Donovan's eyes widened. Liam nodded. "Volther was built for war. It's not just a relic, it's a weapon, a force that could change the balance. If we can guide it, we might be able to hold them off long enough to call for reinforcements." The idea sent a ripple of fear through the team. Relying on an ancient war beast seemed as desperate as it was terrifying. But what choice did they have? "What if it turns on us?" another voice whispered, echoing the fear in everyone's hearts. "It won't," Liam replied, his voice resolute. "Volther isn't loyal to anyone, not even the Gorthons anymore. But it's loyal to our bond. If it wanted to harm us, it would have done so already. A showdown centuries in the making is about to unfold on Harith. Two ancient war machines, one bonded to a human, the other resurrected by a rival faction, are set to clash in a fight that will determine the fate of everyone on the planet." Donovan rubbed his temples, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. "This is insane," he muttered, but after a pause, his resolve hardened. "I don't see any other way." Finally, he looked up at Liam, determination and doubt mingling in his eyes. "All right, we'll make preparations. If the CRL land, we'll use Volther to hold them off. But understand this, Liam, if you lose control, we're all dead." Liam met Donovan's gaze with equal intensity. "I won't lose control." In the days that followed, the camp buzzed with urgent preparation. Defensive perimeters were set up, and drones were armed and deployed. Meanwhile, Liam dedicated every waking moment to understanding Volther, refining their bond. He discovered that the warg responded to subtle gestures, changes in tone, and small cues, like a highly trained but far more intelligent canine. Volther wasn't simply following orders, it was adapting, strategizing. As the CRL fleet drew closer, tensions mounted. Liam felt the weight of his responsibility. A single misstep could spell doom for them all. Late one night, as he sat beside Volther beneath the vast, alien sky, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a survival mission. The bond he shared with Volther transcended the physical. It was as if they were two remnants of ancient wars, brought together by fate. Placing a hand on Volther's massive shoulder, Liam whispered, "You and I, we're not so different. We're both fighting a war we didn't start." Volther's eyes flickered, and for a fleeting moment, Liam could swear the creature understood every word. The following dawn brought a dark omen. The CRL fleet had arrived. The skies above Harith darkened as the sleek, predatory ships descended like birds of prey. The team had little to match the CRL firepower. Even their advanced drones and automated turrets were outmatched. Soon, CRL troops clad in dark, insectoid armor began their march, cutting through the camp's defenses with brutal efficiency. Liam stood at the front of the camp, his hand resting on Volther's neck. The warg's muscles tensed, eyes locked onto the advancing enemy. "Now, Volther," Liam whispered. With a powerful roar that reverberated across the battlefield, Volther charged into the fray. Moving with surprising agility for its massive size, the warg tore through CRL forces, scattering soldiers like leaves in a storm. Armor shattered under its claws, and the enemy faltered, thrown into chaos by this ancient terror. Running alongside Volther, Liam guided the warg's movements with subtle commands, directing it toward clusters of enemies. Volther moved with lethal precision, as if drawing upon the memories of countless battles. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed they might hold the line. But the CRL had prepared their own weapon. A monstrous biomechanical machine emerged from their ships, towering over the battlefield. Half organic, half mechanical, it pulsed with alien energy, a biomechanical monstrosity that bore unmistakable marks of ancient Gorthan technology. Liam's blood ran cold. "They found another one," he muttered, his eyes widening. It was an upgraded war beast, a machine purpose-built to counter Volther. The CRL commanders had unearthed their own Gorthan relic, designed as a counterforce to creatures like Volther. This machine was larger, faster, and deadlier than anything Liam's team had ever seen. Volther, sensing the new threat, let out a roar of defiance. Its muscles rippled, its eyes blazing with a fury that had long lain dormant. This was the fight it had been bred for, a battle it had waited centuries to reclaim. The warg prepared itself, and Liam felt the intensity of its anticipation, a call to arms that echoed through their shared bond. Donovan's voice broke through Liam's focus. "Get out of there! That thing will tear you both apart." But Liam didn't move. He knew that his connection with Volther was their only hope. "Volther," he called out, his voice clear and strong amidst the chaos. The warg's glowing eyes flickered towards him, acknowledging his presence. "We do this together." In that moment, the bond between Liam and Volther pulsed with an energy that defied explanation. Volther let out a low growl, a sound of understanding and resolve. Liam had never felt so connected, so certain of his path. In the heart of battle, two ancient forces collide, but only one has the strength of an unbreakable bond forged across time. In the face of annihilation, will loyalty prevail over brute force? Before he realized it, Liam understood that Volther wasn't just fighting for survival, it was fighting for him, for the bond they had built. With a commanding roar that echoed across the battlefield, Volther charged headlong into the biomechanical monster. The ground trembled beneath their massive steps as the two titans clashed. Volther's powerful jaws snapped at the creature's limbs, while the CRL beast retaliated with energy-charged blades that sliced through the air, each strike sending shockwaves across the ancient ruins surrounding them. Liam watched from the sidelines, heart pounding. Around him, the team fell back, avoiding the chaos of the duel. Commander Donovan's voice cut through the din as he barked orders, coordinating the defenses against the advancing CRL soldiers. But Liam's focus remained locked on the duel between the two war machines. Volther fought with a fluidity and precision that defied its colossal size, yet the CRL beast was relentless, using its mechanical advantage to strike with deadly speed and accuracy. "Liam, it's losing," a team member shouted, panic clear in their voice. Liam could see it too. Volther's movements were growing slower, each step heavier as centuries of dormancy began to weigh it down. Meanwhile, the CRL war machine only seemed to grow stronger, its mechanical parts granting it an unyielding endurance. One of its energy blades tore across Volther's side, sending a spray of glowing blood into the air. "No!" Liam shouted, mind racing. He couldn't stand by and watch Volther be destroyed. Desperately, he scanned the ruins, searching for anything that could help. The Gorthans had been masters of biomechanics. Surely they hadn't left their war machines defenseless. Then, he spotted it, a half-buried Gorthan control module embedded in the rubble nearby. His heart leapt. Volther was designed to respond to these modules, ancient tools capable of amplifying a warg's abilities in battle. Without hesitation, Liam sprinted toward the module, dodging falling debris as the titans clashed behind him. Reaching the control panel, he wiped away layers of dust, revealing the faintly glowing Gorthan symbols. His fingers flew across the interface, racing to decipher the ancient symbols from his studies. Finally, with a sharp hum, the module activated, sending a surge of energy through the ruins. Volther let out a roar that reverberated across the battlefield as its eyes blazed with renewed power, glowing with the same energy that pulsed from the Gorthan module. Liam watched in awe as Volther's wounds began to seal, the glowing blood mending itself. Reinvigorated, Volther rose to its full height, towering over the CRL machine. The tide had turned. With a bone-shattering roar, Volther lunged at the CRL beast, its claws now crackling with amplified energy, tearing through the creature's metallic armor as if it were paper. The CRL machine screeched, thrashing wildly as Volther dismantled it, piece by piece. Within moments, the once feared CRL weapon lay in smoldering ruins. The battlefield fell silent. Seeing their greatest weapon destroyed, the CRL forces retreated in a chaotic scramble, their ships lifting off the planet's surface and disappearing into the void of space. Against all odds, the Federation had won. Liam approached Volther slowly, his heart still racing. The warg stood tall, eyes glowing faintly with the residual energy from the Gorthon module. But as Liam drew closer, the glow began to fade, and Volther lowered its head, exhaustion finally overtaking it. "You did it," Liam whispered, placing a hand on Volther's massive shoulder. "You saved us." Volther let out a low, rumbling growl, a sound that spoke of trust and acknowledgement. The bond between them felt stronger than ever, forged in the heat of battle and tempered by loyalty. As the rest of the team regrouped, Liam knew that their victory was only temporary. The CRL would return, and others would come, drawn by the secrets Harith held. But for now, they had survived, and they had Volther by their side. Liam felt a deep certainty. As long as they stood together, there was nothing they couldn't face.